Welcome, dear viewers, to a new episode of Dialogue Horizon. In this dialogue, we will continue on the same issue of last week, which is the peace negotiation and peace agreement which was signed and ratified last week. This week will definitely witness the start of the implementation of some of the terms of the agreement. So that's why we are happy and we are glad to have in this episode with us one of the important persons in this negotiations and the peace agreement and the ratification, Dr. Tahir Al-Faqih. Dr. Tahir Al-Faqih, the physician, he lived in England for quite a long time, and he is now, he's posting the GEM, Justice and Equality Movement. He is the chairman of the Legislative Council of the GEM. And he is, at the same time, he is the chief of the advanced mission, which came to witness and to see the start of the implementation of the peace agreement. So we'll cover all these issues with him in depth, plus any other issues which might arise during the episode. Also, we have our friend Dr. Yasir Al-Ubaid. Yasir Al-Ubaid is an economist, and he's also following this peace negotiation, because peace and economy are integral with each other. No economy, no development without peace. So that's why we will try to see the implications, the positive implications of the ratification of the peace agreement. Welcome, Dr. Tahir Al-Faqih, to this episode, and you are now on the head of the advanced mission of the GEM, Justice and Equality Movement, which is a very important faction of the SRF, Sudanese Revolutionary Front, so that you will witness or start to know what's happening on the implementation. As we all know that now, the mediator, the chief mediator, Tod Golwak, is already in Khartoum. He handed over to the Prime Minister the final agreement ratified and signed, and he also still is with us here in Khartoum. So we want first to know what are the means of, or the start of of the peace agreement. How will it start after the ratification? Some point must be started to be on the ground by the end of this week, maybe. So can you elaborate on this issue of how can we go about the implementation of the peace terms?
May I take this opportunity to thank you very much for having me in this dialogue about the peace process that is being signed in Juba, and I am also thankful to all the team, and I hope we would be able to explain and to give ownership of what we are going to talk about to our people in Sudan. And before I answer and go in depth with this, I also have to thank the Republic of Southern Sudan and specifically President Salva Kiir for having worked so hard for us to achieve a peaceful negotiation and to come to this final conclusion. I also take this opportunity to thank the Sudanese side from the government, and specifically Hemeti, General Hemeti, for having worked also so hard to achieve peace in Sudan and in southern Sudan. So let me give a brief idea of how all of this started. It started that the SRF, which is the Sudanese Revolutionary Front, have openly agreed that the situation does not need to continue, and because the situation of war should not continue, and we should start on a peaceful process that would help the Sudanese economy and stability. And those provisions, the provisions of the revolution in December, which is peace, equality, and
Freedom.
and freedom. So within that, peace comes first. So we went to Juba with open heart, and we started. There were some obstacles at the beginning, but whenever there was an obstacle, Himeti used to come, and because he used to be part of the war in Darfur, so he understands the technology of having to deal with warring factions. And at the end, we concluded eight protocols, and we will speak later about these protocols. But now we have an agreement. This agreement has touched all the issues that have caused the Sudanese problems since independence. Sudan has been fragmented at the beginning. Right from the beginning, there is the Mahdiya didn't give stability to Sudan. It didn't bring all people together. Then we came to the occupation by the British. It did not stabilize. The country. Then the formation of national parties, the Ummah Party, the Unionist Party, they came to power. It did not stabilize the country. Then Abud came, the military came, it didn't stabilize. So taking it step, then Sir al-Khatim, then Sadiq al-Mahdi, then Nimeri, then again Sadiq al-Mahdi, then so if you take it from the beginning, continuation after continuation did not stabilize and put Sudan on the right track. And here we have addressed the whole issues of problems in Sudan. The first issue is the wealth sharing. The second issue is the power sharing. Then we discussed the displaced people and refugees. We also spoken about the land ownership and Hawakir. And it's better to tell you what is Hawakir is. People hear of the Hawakir. Hawakir are communal areas where the people owning those land, and they have tracts for people who come from outside to give herding, to let herds to have access to grass and to water. Then we have also the compensation and rehabilitation. This is one track. Another track is the accountability and the reconciliation. And here comes the ICC, the International Community, International Criminal Court. And people will ask, what is it Bashir should be handed over or not? This is also being discussed in the protocol. Then we've spoken about the pastoral sector. The pastoral sector means there are some groups of people who are following their herds and passing from Darfur to Kordofan right to the Blue Nile, and they come back and some of them will cross through Darfur, go into Chad and other areas, right to Mauritania.
Creating many problems.
This is
very movement.
Yeah, that's why this is also being addressed as a separate protocol. And last is the security arrangement. And in the security arrangement, there will be what is called the DDR. And for people to know what the DDR is the disarmament, the demobilization, and reintegration of the fighting forces. So this is just a brief.
Okay, that's very good, Dr. Tahir. This is very good briefing. And the start of the implementation, this will come later. And after I asked my friend Dr. Yasser Abed about the cost, what we heard from Dr. Tahir al-Faki of Jim, chairman of the Legislative Council of the Justice and Equality Movement, and he's the head of the Advanced Mission. As you know, and being an economist, you know there is a heavy burden, a financial burden on the implementation. From what we heard from Tahir now about these 8 protocols, most of them, or actually each of these protocols needs money, and everybody knows Sudan is in deep trouble and does not have money. So what will be the effect of not having money and the refrainment of the international community to help, to give a helping hand to, what will be the effect on the whole package of the agreement? It's a very nice agreement. It's different from the other agreements, but this is the most important, or the cornerstone to the success of the agreement.
Okay, as we know that the cost, the war has a cost and the peace has a cost also. And we know the cost of the peace may sometimes can be more than what the cost of the value of the war. As we know that the implementation of the peace itself, it needs a lot of arrangement. It is a lot of, as we know that there is so much process in the terms and conditions for the implementation of the peace agreement. And as we know, the agreement is one of the simple agreement, and it's not that complicated like Nivasha one or like that 2005 between Sudan at that time and SPLA and SPLM. But now the things is completely different because, as we know, after the revolution, things is and the motivation for the whole groups from the government, the government and all the movements, it one comes together, especially the intention of the both sides. But the problem now, Sudan is really in a very historical problem in the economic, and we know that the structure of the economy has so much problem at this time, and the peace comes in a very critical time. The agreement has been signed also in a critical time in the economy, as we know that the deficit of the economic and the budget, and we have so much problems at this time, and as we know, so much problem in the currency and the foreign currencies, and we know that the problem of our pound also so much problem on decreasing the values of it. So much things we need a lot of efforts.
So it seems that we have to lean on the international community. Without it, we have to do
community. I don't think as we know.
Otherwise,
how
can we? From where can we get the money for this?
This needs a lot of efforts from international community. Maybe only on aids and some assistance, but cannot be that if we talk about the loans and whatever, and international loans and international finance at this time cannot be, because as we know that the whole international international financial problem, and we know that all the system of the international financial system is problem. As you know, even the official institution like IMF and especially after coronavirus, an international bank, and our friends in Sudan, friends and those donors, they are not going to put efforts on how to implement the peace financially. So we have to look for another source. We have to look for another side of how we have to look for another side. Maybe you can go to the other side of the east, maybe China or whatever, or other countries. So we have to look for another alternative. So how can we exchange our projects with some aid
to play other cards.
Or maybe you can play other cards, because as you know, China is really one of the closest countries to Sudan, and they can go directly without any conditions to Sudan. And we don't know that the West has a lot of terms and conditions in financing the Sudan. Maybe on aid and assistance, maybe it can come. As we know, in Nivasha, they have agreed to pay to 11 billion. From USA 7, and from the international community is around 4, and they didn't implement that one. They didn't agree about their promise here. They didn't pay that one. As we know now, they paid only 250 million, and that's only came on something like assistance in water and whatever, or something like that. In this time, we need to at least to build the institutions. We have so much problem in Sudan now, and in our friends in the movement, they have to know that. They have to also, some things also they have to leave it behind. So let us go together, all of us, to the movements and and especially the SRF, the biggest side. They have to know that they know very well, I think, so Sudan, the situation in Sudan financially, it's really a problem, but they can implement. As far as there is motivation and there is intention internally, we can implement. I think to implement part of the a lot of part, especially with those people whom they displaced, especially with those refugees, especially with this Hawakir and the lands and whatever. That's the important point. Especially those whom they have missed their schools, the students, and they have missed their work and whatever. Those all they have to come together for those. All of us, we have to support that side. Even we have to look for the private sector should come together, and the NGOs also, they have to go and to support for building the schools and whatever, and some infrastructures.
Okay, Dr. Yasser, okay, let me pass this same question to Dr. Tahir al-Fakir, because Tahir al-Fakir definitely, when they put all these protocols, that definitely they know that it involves some cost, some very high cost.
Yeah.
What can you say about what we heard from Dr. Yasser about? Did you pay attention? Are you not afraid? Let us put it like this: of a big hurdle to the implementation of the agreement, which is something which is very good and historic. Are you not worried about this issue?
Yes, I am. If I told you I am not worried, I would not be telling you the truth. The fairest fact is that peace itself is a dividend, is an economic dividend. As Dr. Sayas said, it can be also detrimental, because it may antagonize some others who are beneficiaries of the old situation.
Yeah.
But still, peace is a dividend, and it will open the door for the international community that will say that Sudan is now at peace and it's not at war. Those supporters of those who support war, they will be sidelined, and peace-loving nations will start. Yes, we know that they will not give money, but at least Sudan will have a chance to be accepted in the international community, and that we hope that the United States of America would lift the Sudan out of the terror state group. And the implementation of the peace agreement needs will. First of all, the fairest here is that people should be owning this agreement. How is for the SRF and for the government to go around and tell people what the agreement is all about? Let them understand it. Then they will support it and absorb and accept it. But if we just patronize and say to them, this is agreement, take it or leave it, it doesn't work. So we have to give ownership to them. And ownership needs financial support. You have to go to the public, address them, and also train those who are going to tell the people by arranging some workshops and some education for those who are going to provide information to the people. The second thing, which is what Dr. Yasser spoke about, is the economic provision. This economic provision, Sudan now is nearly broke, and the pound is devalued. And what we need, we have to level the price of oil, price of petrol with the international market. But this will bring the Sudanese people to a very difficult situation. People will say that the government has come and have leveled the price of petrol and oil with the international community. Means people who are buying 1 gallon of petrol, it will triple or becomes very expensive for them. But the economy, I am not an economist, but this I understand that the international community, those who have prospered, have leveled the price of oil with the international community. The other issue that is also becoming an impediment to the implementation of the agreement is how to integrate all of these big factions. There are so many of them, and you have to find them job. You have to see what they want. Some of them may want to be in the army. Some of them want to join the police.
service.
Some of them want to go and study. So you have to provide some means for them to restart their new life. Also, when we look for returning the displaced and the refugees, that needs hell of money. So according to this, answering your question, that as has the SRF thought about the financial difficulties facing the Sudanese now, yes, we have done that, because we did not ask for too much money from the government. We said over 10 years, the country, the government should pay 750 million over a year, and that money also, that will be invested by the regions to bring financial provisions that would help them to generate money and do some of the wealth sharing, power sharing, and pay for the expenses. So it is both sides. And another thing we said, that we are so many groups now. We said we do not want to stay in very expensive, luxurious hotels. We would rather have simple, decent accommodation until we send our people to the regions.
Yeah. So you are fully aware of these difficulties, which
yes.
At the onset of the implementation, you will face this problem. Many people, maybe you are a doctor and you spent quite a long time in England, but there are other people who are desperate for, when they come here to the country, they look for their own personal needs. So this, at least they have to have initial dose from the government, which the government lacks, definitely. So as you are saying, that as long as people are, you are as leaders, you definitely are aware of this. But what about the rank and file? What about the other parts of the? Anyhow, we pass another question to Dr. Yasser Abed about the cost of peace. As you said, cost of peace is supposed to pay. You know, now we all know that now, when at war, the item of security in any budget for the last 10 or 20 years was very high. Almost 70 to 60% of the budget goes to the security and army and this. So it's supposed that after signing agreement, at least a sizable part of the budget should be reduced, should be taken to other to development, to repatriation, to resettlement, to rehabilitation. What about this difference? The cost
It's true. The cost
peace
of the war was almost not less than 75 of the budget of the whole budget. I think so. We have to divert this money specifically to the peace, all of it, because as Dr. Tahir said, that the cost of especially is if you just calculate it from accommodation. These people, they displaced completely. They don't have where to go. They don't have where to stay. They have to accommodate most of them, especially the leaders and whatever. The schools, even they need the schools. They need whatever. They need some whatever until they settle to have to implement the. We have three years at least on the interim period and the transition period. We have to at least to implement. A lot of the terms and conditions as he mentioned, that 700 million, maybe
750 million every year for 10 years.
It's not that big for the country to develop at least to the infrastructure, the utilities there, the schools and some like hospitals, like some utilities there. You have to do that. These are our people. They have been displaced for almost more than 30 years or more than that. They have outside, maybe they are in desert, they are whatever, in bushes and whatever. So they have to come back to their place. They have suffered so much. They have suffered so much. All of us, we have to support that, especially from the, as I mentioned, the international community and the local community. Start from the private sector and the community and all the organization, the NGOs in that internally, they have all of them to come together. They have to implement some of these authorities and some of this. Besides that, the 750 is not that big money for country or for a state like Sudan.
Not the saving from the stoppage of war.
Yeah,
At
least that one is a lot of money. It's more than that.
If not
it's
completely,
it's
but
more
part
than
of
that.
it.
It's more than that. So the security and defense budget is so much money. It's more than that. With almost 70% of the budget. So we need at least we to put that money specifically for this issue, for this mission. We have to look for another resources. All these people, they're going to come also to their places. They're going to go to the agriculture. They're going to the mining. They're going to go to whatever. So also they're going to support the GDP there. So they're going to support also the economy. They're going to support the production.
They will be productive. They will come back to
we
normal.
need
They will be productive. They will, in a way, they will pay back in a way.
I think so.
To the GDP.
There is some advantage in that. You know, that's not only disadvantage, only paying off, but there is a lot of advantage. This place is going to be stable completely. The war areas going to be stable.
When people like Darfur, they are very productive. When they go for normal life, they assume their life normal, that they subsist on agriculture, mainly on agriculture.
Yes, agriculture, mining
itself.
Hawakir,
what he's talking
Hawakir
about.
and the mining itself, the animal resources, all this is going to be stable.
So it needs patience. Just we have to be a little bit patient.
We have to do that. We
so
have, and before that, we have to do a plan. Our problem in Sudan, we are
bad planning.
We know we have to do planning. We have to do strategics. We have to do a vision for that. We have to go for programs for each states. We have to do program at least for 3 years. How can we develop this area, and how can the state itself going to develop itself? So we need to do a plan and a vision, and at least a program is economic program, is at least shock program or emergency program or normal program, at least to solve the problem, part of the problem. They're going to support at least the government. They're going to support themselves. They're going to support the people in the area there to create at least projects. Let them to go and go for projects. At least the government, state project, let them to offer projects for international community, at least in Darfur, in West, in East, and whatever. We have to offer the projects against the conditions. We have a problem of conditions from the international community.
Okay, that's very good. Okay, Dr. Tahir Al-Faqih, I'm really glad that what we told to the viewer, that we have 8 protocols, and you spoke about each of them in brief, which it seems that it covers almost everything coming to the mind of everybody, or almost. But some people, they consider that, some people, they started some, especially in the different tracks. Actually, you are the main track, the main. All of a sudden, you had 4 tracks which were not involved. One of the tracks is the East. Unfortunately, now the East is resembling and resenting, and they took to the street. Of course, you are not part of it, because your part is other than this. One of the tracks is the other track. Also, I want to tell me about this, the East, why they are revolting, why they are not happy. Before that, but tell me about Abdelaziz Al-Hilo. Abdelaziz Al-Hilo is part and parcel of the whole problem of the West Sudan, whether called Kordofan or in Darfur. Abdelaziz Al-Hilo, they say that on the 21st of October, maybe next week, he's supposed to sit with the negotiators to come to terms. It seems that from what you told us about the 8 protocols, it seems that there is little left for for Al-Hilo to add or to amend, maybe. Do you think that these are very comprehensive and conclusive, that Al-Hilo will not add very much to it? Or because he seems that he's pragmatic, and he went so many steps towards peace. Can you tell us in depth about this issue?
Abdelaziz is a friend of mine, and we have been together in so many areas. looking at these 8 protocols, these protocols have actually discussed and sorted out all the Sudanese issues that has led to a Sudan become unstable. We will hope that Abdulaziz would add something new, and we are open for something that he brings that is not in that thing.
The 8 protocols.
But the 8 protocols have discussed every issue that is causing the Sudanese problem. I think because what he was trying to get to the negotiation of putting an ideology, but the ideology has not been left for only one faction to decide about it for the Sudanese future. What we said is that if Abdulaziz wants to discuss ideology, then it is better that the Sudanese as a whole should have a conference. In that conference, the people will address what sort of ideology the country wants to take. If they want to take the left, right, or the center, it's up to the Sudanese people. And that will be left for the Legislative Assembly or the Parliament. The provision now, the constitutional document did not address the issue of ideology, although it has been written and brought by the group of the Freedom and Change. Abdulaziz would like to have an input about the state to go and become a non-religious or a sectarian or a secular government. And that unfortunately backfired. Those who were supporting Abdulaziz as a revolutionarist, now they are looking at this, that how Abdulaziz has seen the effects and the devastation of war on his people. How is he taking this as a matter of urgency only for changing the constitution or putting an ideology? So I think Abdulaziz at the end will accept the fact that these protocols are the best at the moment for Sudan to come out of its misery. And I'm sure he will join, because it is in his best interest and he should not be left out. As far as Abdul Wahid is concerned, Abdul Wahid also will be looking at this, and his people and his supporters will also tell him that these are the best protocols. If he has something new or has something to add to it, that's acceptable. But the international community will also have some sort of a carrot and a stick, and hopefully it will be the carrot, not the stick.
Okay, but what about the East? Why people in the East? Why they don't like what happened in Juba concerning the track of the East?
This track, I think we should make it clear to the viewer to understand it. Why the Juba Agreement has come out instead of the SRF as one molecule to decide on the agreement, and suddenly there is formation of tracks. There is the Darfur track, there is the Eastern track, there is the Northern track, there is the Central track, and the 2 areas, which is the Blue Nile and Southern Kordofan. These people have also looked, especially the people from the north, which is under Jakumi. People say that, oh, everything is, the north has taken everything. But they are also marginalized. Khartoum itself is marginalized. Jem discussed in the agreement that Khartoum also is marginalized. We are working hard to get Khartoum to get something. And it is not to be seen as an affluent and an area that have taken most of the resources of the country. But there is another issue. The issue that is brought in the east have generated some conflict
Yeah.
between those who made and brought the track and the local community. Some of the local community thought that those who have signed the agreement, they were only beneficiaries.
They don't represent us.
They don't represent them, and that is caused a problem. Can I tell you that now Kordofan is a ticking bomb? People don't understand that. Why there? And I have had dialogue with the Sharati, with the notable leaders of the community. 41 Sharati from Kordofan, I've spoken to them. They were very unhappy about not having a track of Kordofan. Kordofan feel that they have been left out, and it is not mentioned in the agreement. And they say that even the north that has doesn't have an army, they haven't raised any revolutionary process against the regime. They have a track. The east also have a track. The center, which is taken by Tom Haju, and Tom Haju represents the Unionist Party. They didn't fight for it. They have a track. How is it Kordofan when most of those martyred and gave their lives in this whole process, Kordofan is left out? And why Kordofan is not being incorporated in the agreement? So they came and they were looking for a track of their own. So this is another ticking bomb which already exploded in the east, and 26 people died.
Yeah.
And so from here, I'm asking everybody who is concerned to look at this situation very carefully and to avert any future conflagration as the problem of Kordofan erupts.
Well, it is very interesting and very important. Yeah, these people, now you are being very honest that these people, they represent Kordofan. When you talk about this 41 of this Sharatai and of these mayors, and this is the national, the previous administration which is prevailing. I think this is a good point. It's something I consider it as a yellow card.
Yeah.
So the people, they should pay attention to this. Can you tell us about Kordofan? Because in the sense that it is one of the important factors to the GDP of the country. This area of Kordofan, it has a lot to add to the gross domestic product. You are economists, you know this.
I think so. Kordofan is one of the biggest regions in Africa in production of crops. Especially most of the crops. So you go to all the crops, you know, even for sorghum, so you go to maize, you go to the whatever.
Cash crop, most of it.
All the cash crop, all the cash
Gum
crops.
Arabic.
Gum Arabic, especially, it is producing also more than 60% of the production of Sudan. That which is the majority of the production. Even there is some cotton also in south of Kordofan.
Yeah.
There is some cotton in Havila and whatever. Also say they're producing that in that side.
Fruits, vegetables,
sesame.
Sesame also, sesame is also there. It's so much. Also one of the best quality even in the world.
Yeah.
One of the best quality in the world in sesame.
Sesame.
Yeah, Kordofan. Even the melon seeds also, it is also one of the best, because melon seed has been used for a different side in medicines and whatever. Also is a part of that. Karkade also is hibiscus also is part of that. Hibiscus Sudan also, Kordofan is producing so much in bees even itself. Bees in honey also. Kordofan is one of the biggest producers in that. Kordofan is one of the biggest producers in whatever on animal production. Also is one of the biggest producers.
Hammer sheep.
So you think that
yes,
also
exported also. If you go to another resource, if you come to the minerals. Yes, silica sands, also that part of it. If you go to the even there is some cobalt and
gold mines,
even the
minerals.
The minerals.
Oil
Oil also is there. You know, Kordofan is very rich is very rich. Sudan, Kordofan is one of the richest regions in Sudan, and even the underground water is one of the biggest areas in that side. In oil also, as you mentioned. Kordofan is a part of the economy, even producing, even supporting the GDP a lot. And even now, if you go to the roads and whatever, now Kordofan has been ignored for a long time. That's one of the issues, and it is near to the center. Even it's not far from the center even. And,
not far from the
for in the markets for the whole market, because it's the center of Sudan. Is really one of Rubaid and other southern Kordofan. Is that. Animal production Kordofan is a part of that producing, but it's been ignored from a long time. As we mentioned that in this program, if you said that Kordofan University, if it's specialist in Gum Arabic only in that, how to develop.
So it's
in
important
researches,
that you must be integrated or annexed or you have to do something about Kordofan.
We have to do that.
This has been when it comes to the implementation to the.
And most of the tribe of Sudan is there, by the way, from north, from east, from south, from west, from all.
Yeah.
Sudan is small Sudan.
It's Kordofan.
Yeah, Kordofan is small Sudan.
Okay. That's very good, Dr. Yasser, about this Kordofan. Now, so it seems that it is an important hub for the economy of the country. It involves agriculture, minerals. This area, so Kordofan. But why people of Kordofan, they do not come to these people? As far as I know, these people from the different tracts, they force their way. But it seems that the Kordofan people, there was no one. Why they are left over?
Yeah. This is a good question. We, as a Justice and Equality Movement, we worked very hard to get Kordofan to have a track. But the negotiators said that, what is the definition of Kordofan? Because Kordofan, there is North Kordofan, West Kordofan, and South Kordofan. Previously, there is the Greater Kordofan that incorporates all the three states. Now, with Bashir's regime, Western Kordofan has been incorporated into Southern Kordofan. So the Western Kordofan is made of land of Hamar and land of Miseria. The Hamar are the biggest population in Kordofan, 1.2 to 1.3 million people there. Then the Miseria. What happened is West Kordofan has been annexed to southern Kordofan, and because the SPLM of Malik Agar negotiated the two areas, Western Kordofan has been accepted as part of South Kordofan. So this part have been split, and North Kordofan has been left on its own. Then we tried as much as we could to get a definition of what is Kordofan. That failed, because they will say this is North Kordofan, this is West Kordofan, this is South Kordofan. We cannot have track for the three, and we cannot have for one because they are not united. And what they said is that in the agreement is the first thing there will be a conference. This conference will discuss the borders of the different regions in the whole Sudan, and the Kordofan will be looked at and have its border demarcated. After this will be in the first 6 months after ratifying the agreement. After 1 month following the conference, a conference for Kordofan called Kordofanese Conference. This Kordofanese Conference, they will discuss among themselves what the people of Kordofan want. If they want the three states to be together and form the Greater Kordofan, or they want Western Kordofan as a different and state on its own. But when I met the Sharatis and Amir Nazar Abdelgader Munim Mansour, who is the notable of all the area, they would prefer to have Western Kordofan as an own entity, and its center should be Nuhud. but they would not mind that Western Kordofan will be incorporated into North Kordofan. That is what they say. So the situation, as I said, is very difficult and volatile. But according to what the provisions say, there should be a conference 1 month after the general conference that discussed the borders. Kordofanese people should come and discuss how they can make the agreement works and how they can save the area from going back into war.
Okay, I think we have few minutes to go, but I have two important questions. One to Dr. Yasser Abed, very short, please. Some people in this agreement, they are talking about self-autonomy. Do you think that from an economical point of view, is it feasible that Sudan can be divided into 4, 5, 3, any countries? Or will some countries will be landlocked? They don't have access to, so economically, from this point of view of the economy, is it feasible to have different Sudans, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Sudans? Because including, they are talking about self-autonomy.
Well, this is a very difficult, question. It's not an easy to say that. So this is the separation of the five tracks that go together, but go to all the separation of each area, or each region, or each states wants to be, as you know, that these areas, or most of it is a blocked areas, especially in the center of Sudan. All is blocked areas. And if we're going to think about that at this time, it's really going to be a problem in our future strategy. If we're going to look on that side, each state want to speak about, want to be separated together. There is a lot of, I think so. This model has been discussed in Juba. It is one of the good models to Sudan, especially in the states and whatever. Let's go on that. Let's go to unity, integration. All the integration at this time, all the world go to the integration now. It's not going to the separation. Yeah. The integration, which is supposed to be now, the Southern Sudan is gone with our side, and we are up to now. We are crying on that. Still, we are crying. We're crying with our people, our friends, our tribe, our whatever, our resources goes there, and they still also from their side, even they're crying over the north, and that is going to be a disaster if we
split. Okay, yes. Dr. Yasser, that's very good. The last question, my last question about if there is any discrepancy or difference between the constitutional, it seems that there is a legal question. If there is a discrepancy or difference between the legal, the constitutional declaration, which is now the governing, and the agreement, which one will override?
Yeah, it's been brought very clearly that the provisions of the peace agreement override the constitutional document, and that has been very clear. Just to add another small thing, all the members of the SRF, they are looking for a united Sudan. None have looked and thought of separation or self-determination. We are for a united Sudan. We have suffered so much as a result of separation of the South. We do not want to repeat this again. So I am just reassuring the viewers that the SRF is well aware of the fact that the unity is paramount.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yeah. Thank you very much, dear gentlemen, for being with us for the last 50 minutes. And now we are
only add unity.
Thank you, dear viewers, for being with us for the last 50 minutes. Hope to see you next week in a different issue. Hopefully, it will be on the same process of peace agreement. Thank you. See you next week on another issue. Bye.